the second most listened to episode of the Spun Today podcast in all of 2022. And this one has a bit more of a recency bias for me. Definitely an episode that I enjoyed putting together, but it was just a couple episodes ago, was episode 219. In that episode, I broke down and just recapped watching the Anthony Bourdain documentary, Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain. I shared an update on the Adnan Syed case, which after he got out, by the way, I haven't seen or heard from him much, which is probably a good thing. But as someone that was so invested in that original Serial podcast, like I just want to hear from him, from the horse's mouth, how it feels like to be out in just a whirlwind of all the emotions he must be dealing with. I also broke down watching UFC 280. That was the card headlined by Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev, the Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw fight, Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan fight, etc. We had another iteration of the Goats Doing Goat Shit segment. This one was featuring Joe Veras, the bachatero. And I told a really cool story about how he could have fucked over a very green, unknowing, uninitiated, homeless kid that happened to be a songwriter. Went on to write some of Joe Veras' biggest hits, as well as many other bachatas that we all know and love. But how Joe Veras, being a true GOAT, looked out for him and put him onto how the music game really operated and how he could protect his financial interests by copywriting or trademarking, forget what the actual technical route is for when it comes to songwriting, but how to legally protect your creative work so that when you sell it and license it to someone, you get royalties from it in perpetuity or however it is that you set up your contract. But he did that for someone, self-admitted to have been, more than thrilled to take just a couple bucks for the song as like a one-time transactional exchange. But Joe Veras, instead of, again, taking advantage of the situation for his own personal financial gain, he looked out and actually did the right thing. And that's why he was featured in that episode's Goats Doing Goat Shit segment. And lastly, in episode 219, I also spoke about and recapped watching the George Carlin documentary called American Dream. And that was a fun breakdown to put together because I shared some clips from folks like Seinfeld and Jon Stewart that spoke so highly of and paid homage to one of my comedy goats, George Carlin. And that, my friends, was the second most listened to episode of the year.